Hello, and welcome to another episode of Opinions Are Like Ah. And today I'm here with my brother again, Lance, and we will be talking about the new big news story, which is going on all over America, I think, about restaurateurs, hotel owners coming on the news and saying that they can't find people to work in their establishments because people are making more money on unemployment. So my brother and I are going to be discussing our opinions and feelings about people making those types of statements in the climate that we're living in right now. And if you would like to add anything, we hope you will leave a comment if you're listening to this on the YouTube page. And if there's a way to comment here on Anchor, we hope you do that as well. And we will be right back with you. Yay! All right. And here is Lance.
Hey, what's up?
Okay, so today we are going to be talking about all of these employers coming on the news and making the claim that they can't find people to work in their establishments due to unemployment. And in fact, so many people have been coming out and blaming unemployment benefits on the reason that they can't find workers. They've been blaming it so much on their former employees or potential new employees that the governor of Texas actually opted Texas out of the additional $300 a month that the federal government was giving to people. So not even Texas was giving the money to these people, the federal government was. And it was in a direct response to people coming and loudly chanting that they couldn't get workers to come and work for them because they were making more money on unemployment than they could working, which to me is a big red flag. Like, no one should be making more on unemployment than they are working a 40-hour-a-week job, to me. Lance, what do you think?
Based on what I was looking into, I did a little bit of research when you brought the topic up to me. I think it's, like you said, it is pretty sad that people are making more money from the unemployment than it is actually going to work and working like 32, 40 hours a week. I know this should be a thing that should be looking into why these jobs are not paying their employees like at least I wouldn't say a livable wage, but something a little bit more fair.
Well, isn't livable wage fair?
I guess you could say that, but there are like some jobs that I don't know. There are just some jobs that you shouldn't really look at as being like a livable wage. Like, I know some people, like there are some people out there that can only qualify, let's say, working at McDonald's, and that's not a knock to people who work at McDonald's, because some people will argue, oh, those jobs you shouldn't be looking at it as a job that you can live off of. Those jobs are mostly for teenagers and stuff like that.
And we're going to come back to that because we're going to do a whole segment called Jobs for Teens. Mm-hmm. But let's go back to this. Do you think Abbott should have, everybody in Texas, made the decision unilaterally to cancel out their extra $300 that they were getting from the federal government?
If it's from the federal government, I don't think. Okay. Here's the tricky part. Because since it's from the federal government, I don't think the state shouldn't have that kind of power to stop the federal government from doing something. But at the same time, you wouldn't want the federal government to have. Now, I'm not saying, well, not just for this, for unemployment, but for any other action, you would want the federal government to come in and supersede the powers of the state. So it's
Who wouldn't?
like there are some people out there that, oh, the government shouldn't have the kind of power to to do whatever. I'm not saying not for the unemployment thing. I think if it's unemployment, I don't think the state should have that kind of power. But if the government could do that, there are people that are going to complain about, oh, the government has too much power. They shouldn't be allowed to do this. They shouldn't have the government. The federal government's power shouldn't supersede the state's power. But in this instance, with unemployment, I don't think he should be allowed to do that.
Well, now, just in case anyone doesn't know, Lance and I live in the North Texas area between Dallas, Fort Worth, that Metroplex area. And a few months ago in February, there was a major power outage here. And most of the state lost its power. People were sitting up freezing. Some people froze. Some people died. They just froze to death in their own homes. And, water pipes bursting everywhere. And boil water notices, and people couldn't go to work or anything. Everybody was like snowed in. I'd never seen anything like it before. And Texas made the decision that they did not want the federal government intruding on Texas business. And so Texas was running its own power grid. And because Texas was running its own power grid, out of the out of the oversight of the federal government, that's one of the major reasons why when the power grid failed, Texas was all by itself, because we don't share a power grid with any other place, or at least some segments. Now,
So West Texas share with California, right?
do they?
You show me a map of the different power grids in Texas. There's different power grids in Texas, and I think it was in West Texas. Like, don't they share a power grid with California?
I think a small amount of Texas does,
Okay.
but I know a big swath of Texas
It's on its own.
was on its own.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't lose power here where I live, and I think I lost power overnight between midnight and 3 or 4 a.m. because I got cold, and I woke up because I got so cold. But then by 9 a.m. the power had kicked back on. So there is something to say about federal oversight. Now, if the federal government had been involved, they would have made sure that Texas was hooked up to some other power grids and not just on their own, to where they could say, well, you can't come in here with your EP, your Environmental Protection Agency, and your electrical blah, blah, blahs, where Texas is going to handle it ourselves. Well, you see what happened. Mm-hmm. Anyone who was watching the news saw what happened to Texas in February of 2021. So I think that all federal government insight is not bad.
No, it isn't. But you're going to have those people that are going to make it. Even if it's something good that's going to benefit people, it's going to help people, there are still people out there who are going to say, no, that's giving the government too much power.
I personally think, which I wasn't in love with Abbott anyway, I was going to kick him out just because he's like a Trump person. Mm-hmm. But after he did this, and for the record, I am not on unemployment. I never lost my job during this whole pandemic thing. I have gotten my same steady paycheck with a raise that I get every year because I work for a school district. My brother has not gotten any type of unemployment aid because he never lost his job. He has been steadily employed since this whole thing happened. He never lost his job or got furloughed or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So we don't have a dog in the fight either way. But I do not think that Abbott should have stuck his nose in other people's pocketbooks, especially since it was federal government money, not Texas money, per se. And since Texans, we don't have a state income tax, but we pay federal income tax. Therefore, in my eyes, they should have, if they're on unemployment, which means you have to pay into unemployment by working to get it, Abbott should not have been able to come in and just unilaterally nix it. Mm-hmm. I don't think that was right. I'm going to vote him out strictly on that notion, because he should not have been able to do that. Some people need that money, and you trying to cut their throat by taking that extra federal $300, which really at the end of the day isn't changing anyone's life, but you did it just to appease a bunch of bar, restaurant, and hotel owners that want to take those same people that you cut the $300 from, and then they want to pay them a couple of dollars to come and work. And then they're not going to give them enough hours to even make up for the $300 that you cut away from them. I don't think that that's right, because those restaurants, hotels, fast food places that swear up and down, we can't find workers. We can't find workers. Well, pay them and you'll get them.
And most of these restaurants, these fast food places, I believe they have the money to pay these people.
Of course they do.
They just don't want to. Especially in the case, like say, McDonald's. McDonald's is a nationwide franchise. You can't go. Not nationwide. It's worldwide. You can't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere in the world without seeing a McDonald's.
And I've gone to Europe. I've seen them in London. I've seen them in
they're
Spain,
in Japan. They're in Taiwan.
France,
they're in the Philippines. They're in Asia. They're in India.
Germany.
They're everywhere. There is no reason, as big as McDonald's is, that you cannot at least pay them a little bit more, the kind of, especially in the United States, to make up for, during this whole pandemic. You got a lot of people missing out work. But at least you could have done it, at least, because other places have done it too. They were going to pay their employees just a little bit more to make up, because you're working during the pandemic, so we're going to pay you a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And then maybe once everything goes back to normal, then they may decide to keep the rate they were paying their employees.
I'd like to see them reduce it back to what it was.
Or reduce it back to where it was.
That'll be hilarious, because there's going to be protests in the street. We were at 7. The pandemic hit. You bumped us up to 11 or 12. Now the pandemic's over. You really think we're going to stand around here while you knock us back down to 7? People who are working those quote-unquote low-wage jobs, right now y'all have the upper hand. And I would suggest, if there's a way to unionize or something for them, I hope they do it. And make McDonald's work for you to come and work there. And they better give you benefits on top of it too. Because that's another reason why.
McDonald's, as big as they are, they have the money. And then, I'm not sure if you've seen this too. I was looking at these different articles on Facebook. I do need to double check and see if it's real. But I've been seeing how these different franchises have been trying to give trying to put up these different these little prizes or little pluses to try to get people to come back and work for them. I saw this one post how this one place was trying to give their employees iPhones, and I saw another place was saying, "Oh, you get free lunches and stuff like that." I'm like, it's like y'all doing everything y'all can besides, just giving your employees a little bit extra money.
Yeah, how much did it cost you to buy all those iPhones? If I was out trying to find another job, if I lost my job, you're not going to entice me to come and work for you because you're giving away an iPhone. I don't care about an iPhone. The bill that I'm going to generate using the iPhone pretty much cancels out its usefulness to me. I got an Android. You can keep your iPhone. What are you going to do to make it worth my while to work here? Am I going to get over minimum wage? Am I going to get health insurance? Can I get dental insurance? Can I get any kind of insurance? Or even just give me higher pay. I'll try to go out and find my own insurance.
Especially, health and dental insurance. Because something you should know about me. I work for a marketing firm. I've been there since 2017, January 2017. When I first started there, it was a really, really small company. I mean, really small. But since then, we have grown immensely. I think it was about in my second year working there. We were still pretty small back then. But the company was able to sign us up for health insurance. It was through Blue Cross Blue Shield at first, and then eventually we dropped them and we went to Healthcare United. If a company like the company I work for, as small as we were back then, if they're able to get their employees health benefits, we both got health and dental. If a small company like my company was able to do that, what is McDonald's excuse? What is Sonic's excuse? What is any other of these nationwide franchises? What is their excuse to not offering at least like their full-time employees?
Oh, the only full-time employees at those places are the managers. You could not go there and be working the grill or mixing up shakes and get full-time hours. And they've been like that. I know they've been like that since I was working there. I worked at a fast food place when I was a junior and a senior in high school. And back then, this was in 98, 99, and the hourly rate was $5 it was $5.25 or $5.75. It was one of those. And even back then, you knew they're not going to give you 30 hours a week, because if they do, then they got to give you health insurance. Mm-hmm. So they're going to cut you at 20 or 25. And if they catch like on the things, you can see the hours being generated, they'll send you home. I remember being if you got close to 40 hours and the managers were in there and were looking at the computers and could see how the minutes were adding up, and if you were approaching 38, 39, they would send you home. Even if the restaurant was full of people and they could justify you working and getting those minutes or whatever, if they could, no, we'll make it, it's okay, and they would send you home if you were approaching 40 hours. I've seen it happen with my own two eyes. And then you're standing there like, there's a lobby full of customers wanting to order food. You're sending me home? You're getting too close to 40.
Okay, so
I'm like, okay, but this crowd of people,
can you not pay me?
This crowd of people is going to justify me staying on the clock and getting those few. And when you literally minutes, those few extra, I might get 40, maybe hit 41. Oh no, but the management would get in trouble because that meant that they had you up there too much. If you was getting 40 hours, she's up there too much if she's getting 40 hours. Even though I maybe was covering someone else's shift, or they called in sick, or they just didn't come in at all, they will send you home. Now, Lance worked at a grocery store when he was in high school, and he was part of it was a fruit and vegetable union, wasn't it?
I think so. It's been so long, I don't remember.
I think you were part of a union. And
I was a part of some sort of union.
Yeah. He didn't really care about it because he was in high school. He didn't care. But he was part of the union. And would they send you home if you were approaching 40 hours?
Yeah, they would. I think at the range they would try to keep us in was like between 32 to 35 hours.
Yeah, they're not going to ever let you hit 40 because they don't want to pay. And they act like, I'm like, McDonald's should have the best benefits package of any company next to Walmart in the United States, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. They don't want to give you nothing. I think Whataburger will.
A Texas, probably like a Texas or a South only chain can do that. Oh, let me think of another example. Well, I'm not sure if this place offers benefits, but I know they pay their employees pretty well. Another burger chain, In-N-Out Burger. Mm-hmm. That's the name of it. I was just In-N-Out Burger is a burger chain that's mostly in California. They just recently started to expand out a little bit more. We got a couple open in Texas. I was going through In-N-Out one day and I saw on a sign that says hiring. Pay, you start out like at $15 an hour. Now, a burger chain that is nowhere near as big as McDonald's, and only recently only located in California and started like expanding out. How is that a smaller chain like In-N-Out can pay their employees $15, but McDonald's can't? A nationwide franchise, not nationwide but worldwide. They are literally all over the world, but they can't even pay $15 like In-N-Out, a smaller burger chain, does.
Well, do you think that reflects badly on the people who are trying to get that extra $300 in their paychecks? Does that reflect because it's more than what they get paid? Is that a bad reflection on them as people or on the companies?
I think on the companies for sure, because if you're making more money off unemployment, I wouldn't want to go back to work either. It's not because I'm lazy. It's because I'm making more money and I need that money to pay my bills.
And they cut you off the minute you get that job. They cut it off.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even give you a grace period of, okay, well, you working now? Okay, we'll give you 2 more months on this, and then we're going to have to stop it because you're working. So we're going to keep it up for 2 months because it takes you at least 2 weeks just to generate your first paycheck. Mm-hmm. But the minute you tell them that you're working or they find out you're 3 days into working a new job, they cut everything off. It's like, well, you're going to put them behind. They still have bills to pay. They still need employment,
at least for the next couple of months, at least.
So I'm going to vote against Abbott I think he's going to lose the next election.
Well, we got these 2 marks on him now, the whole, the winter storm thing, and now you got this. Yeah, that's 2 bad marks. So yeah, I think
the last thing I would have done is nix those people's $300. Because there's a lot of it's not just Democrats getting it, sweetie. It's Republicans getting that extra $300 too. People who vote for you.
I wonder if he would have had the same energy if Trump was still president. And Trump was like, to make himself look good, he was like, I'm going to give these people the extra $300. It'll be beautiful. It'll be great. That's $300 we're going to get.
He would do it.
Abbott will be say, yes, that's right, President Trump.
Yes, if Trump was for it, Abbott would be for it. In fact, during the whole debate thing that was going on with Biden and Trump tried to hold the next stimulus check, the second stimulus check. He tried to hold it hostage. He said, well, if I get elected, you'll get your second stimulus check. That's what he said.
That was Mitch McConnell.
No, that was Trump who said, if I'm reelected, I'll make sure that the first thing I do that very first week is send out a second stimulus check. Trump said that. Because even Mom was like, I know he doesn't think that holding a little check hostage is gonna make me vote for him. I'm gonna vote you out just because you're trying to hold something over my head. That you should be hurrying up and pushing that money through, whether you get elected or not. Because people need it, and they're getting more and more behind on their bills. But yes, if you're making more money on unemployment, it's because you were working a subpar wage job, and I say good for you. Collect them checks as long as you can. Collect those checks because you paid into them. You can't collect unemployment if you haven't paid into the unemployment benefit.
The benefit pool?
Yeah, you have to pay into it as far as I know now. If I'm wrong, someone write and let me know. But as far as I know, you can't get unemployment if you have not worked and put in enough hours to collect it. You can't just work one job for 15 minutes.
It has to come from somewhere.
Yeah, so if you've paid into it, I think you should sit there and collect all of it until you get that little letter in the mail that says, okay, your unemployment is expiring on this date in 2021 or whatever. Other than that, sit there and collect your money. That's your money. All right, so that's going to bring this segment to an end. We're going to move on to our next segment, which is going to be the jobs for teens. And we'll be right back. All right, this next segment is about jobs for teens. Now, you hear that a lot. Those jobs are for teenagers. They're not a job that you're supposed to be trying to make a living off of. Those jobs are for teens in high school. Now, even though to a certain degree, I do believe that because I was one of those teens who worked one of those jobs when I was in high school. But there is a growing segment of the population, it has been even when I was working fast food back in 98, 99, there are full-fledged adults also working those jobs. Because a lot of teenagers that I'm coming to find over the past 20 years since I've been out of high school, a lot of teens don't want to work and earn a paycheck, which is weird. I loved working and having my own money when I was a teenager. But a lot of teenagers don't really have that type of drive, I guess, when you ask them, well, what do you want to do? Or B, are you going to work or get a job? They talk about getting a YouTube channel. They want to sit and make YouTube videos and hope that they make it big and make big money doing YouTube videos, prank videos and things like that. So I don't know, but Lance, you said the phrase, those are jobs for teens. Do you really think that you couldn't make a career out of one of those types of jobs if you wanted to?
Let me expand on that a little bit. Yeah, when I say jobs for teens, flipping burgers, manning the grill, like, I still think, yeah, those jobs could be for teens. But I'm not going to fault an adult for still working those jobs, because here's the thing. Not everyone can be like a CEO, or no one can be like an account manager, or one of those like those the more higher paid positions, because those kind of positions are pretty finite. They're they're not all over the place, but there are a lot more positions for someone like, say, working as a cashier, or working as a bagger, or working at a grill. There's a lot more positions doing those things compared to being like an account manager, or working at or having like a higher paying position.
And they love to say you can work your way up. BS.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, like, it's most of the time you can work your way up. Sometimes you can't. It's pretty tricky. Even then, I'm not even sure if I even do want to work my way up as working at McDonald's. This is. I mean, I don't really have that big of a passion for McDonald's. I'm not trying to become like a manager or something like that.
Well, let me tell you, you know what? When I was working at my fast food place, I guess I can say their name. I liked them. Wendy's. I worked at Wendy's. And I enjoyed working there. I enjoyed the people I worked with. Some of us, I think the bulk of us were teenagers, but the management was all adults, of course. And a lot of them had been working for Wendy's when I came along. Most of them had been working for Wendy's or some other fast food place for at least 10 years before I met them at that Wendy's. But it's different because they were the management. Now, there were some adults who worked on the floor with us, taking orders and fixing the food and stuff like that. And one of them, she was in her mid-30s, somewhere, early 40s, somewhere in there. And she was there for the morning shift. And she's still there today. I don't think she has any inclination to find another job. Maybe she can't find another job. She's been there so long, and maybe she gets enough hours that it makes it worth her while, because she lives in a smaller town than our town. She lived in like Jefferson or Scottsdale.
Jefferson is really small.
Yeah, they don't really have a lot in
the
there.
cost of living is probably like dirt cheap.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of businesses really in those towns anyway, or not diverse businesses where she could go maybe and just walk in and get a position. You have to like know someone or know someone or know someone. You know, where we come from, that counts for a lot. Even if you're not qualified, if you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, you can get in. But someone who's actually qualified might not ever get in because they don't know the right people. So this woman worked with me at the Wendy's, and we would, if school was out, I would go in early in the morning. I would work with her, cleaning the vegetables and things like that. Yes, we actually got fresh vegetables in off the truck, and we had to sit there and we would peel lettuce leaves. We would wrap potatoes. We would chop onions. All that we did. Wendy's was the real deal. We were in there washing.
To most places now, like, do they like send them to them already like?
I think a lot of places do, and I haven't worked at that particular Wendy's. That Wendy's in Marshall was a corporate store. It was not a franchise store, so they might still be getting everything fresh out. We made the salads fresh right there that morning too. All that. She's still there working today, and so are most of the managers. Imagine, let's say I wanted to work my way up and be one of the morning managers at that store, and there was only one. Her name was her name was Darlene. When I went home to visit, I'm gonna say 4 or 5 years ago, I stopped by the Wendy's. It was early in the morning time. Darlene was still there as the manager. Almost at that time, it would have been 16 years after I graduated high school. Darlene was still there as the morning man. If I had stuck around and said, you know what, I really love this company, I want to be the morning manager at my store. And if I had stuck around and just dedicated myself to that store to take that position, 16 years, 20 years later, I would still be waiting because Darlene is still there in that position. She ain't going nowhere. She is not transferred to another store. She is still there. So, could I have worked my way up? Maybe. But if they're sticking around like Darlene's sticking around, I might not ever get a chance to be it. I might get sent away to a whole nother store in a whole nother town. And would you want to? I mean, I don't know if I would want to. You know, I don't know. It depends on how much they were paying. They're paying, I guess. But I don't really think that managers make hand over fist above what we make as a, cashier, stuff like that. I don't know. But definitely they're not jobs for teens anymore. And that seems to be the swan song, I guess you call it, of a lot of people. Well, they shouldn't be trying to make it a career. They're not trying to make it a career necessarily. Some people are just trying to survive.
It's just work,
It's work. They get a paycheck.
They may not be that passionate for burgers. So, like, why? Like, yeah, I don't really have a passion for this company. I mean, it's okay. I just work here just because, it pays. But, yeah, like, especially if you're in a small town,
and you're established there.
You may not be able to travel out anywhere.
Yeah, maybe you don't have a reliable transportation. Maybe you don't have the wherewithal. And some people...
And it may be hard to find a job let's say if you were to move into the city, it may be hard to find a job in the city.
Yeah, maybe you're not really qualified to do anything because you never got a chance. And just to clear this up, because I work with special needs kids who grow up to be adults, and some of them might even be able to drive themselves to work because they're just right under or right above the line of intellectually disabled, but they're still able to function. Sometimes those types of jobs are the only types of jobs they can get. They get them when they're 18, 17 years old, and they keep them as long as they can keep them. Everyone who is there and working there, they're not leaving because, oh, they're just lazy, just want an easy job. No, sometimes that's just the capacity of what they can do. That's the level of what they can handle. The repetitiveness of the job
it's comfortable.
It's comfortable for them. They can do it, and they don't, and they do it so much. They're really, really good at it. They don't want to leave their job. There are people in the world like that. Every person that has an intellectual disability doesn't have a certain look. They just, some people with intellectual disabilities just look like any old person you see walking down the street. Some can drive cars, some can catch the bus, some ride their bike to work. It doesn't matter. They're not just jobs for teens. Sometimes those jobs help people who want to be independent, and they're working, but they're not even making enough money to really take care of themselves. God bless them if, they have family support and their parents or somebody passes away, or their guardian. Now they're out here trying to sustain themselves working at a quote unquote job that's supposed to be for teenagers. Well, maybe their mind doesn't really go too far above 13 or 14 years old, but they're able to work, and that's their job. Anybody, to me, working 40 hours a week should be able to at least pay their rent and their bills. Now, does that mean they should have decent housing? They shouldn't be in a $5,000 a month apartment if they're working at McDonald's. Now that okay. But if they're working 40 hours a week and they're living in a decent house, and they don't have like a couple of Bentleys in the garage.
They just need like, I wouldn't even say the bare minimum, but like the minimalist they can get and still live pretty comfortably.
They need to be able to pay their rent, put food in their refrigerator and eat, and be able to maintain whatever type of transportation that they use to get to work. I think that is like, and I think a lot of people, that's really all they want. They just want to be able to get up, pay their bills, and eat, and not have their life completely turned upside down because they got a flat tire, because they don't have any extra money to go get a flat tire fixed. They never go on vacation, which I think is abusive to a degree. Everyone should at least be able to get vacation time, paid time off for sick leave. You wonder why people get sick all the time, because they can't not go to work just because they have a cold. They miss work. That's going to be that much less money in their paycheck. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to be at work trying not to sneeze and cough on your food, because they're going to come to work sick because they don't have paid time off. A lot of these businesses, they're so horrible. They won't even give you time off if you're sick. Mm-hmm. And this pandemic, I think this whole pandemic might change a lot of that, where they're like, no, if you're sick, don't come here. We'll pay you. Don't come. Just call in sick.
That's exactly like I mentioned before. My company, pretty small. I think after the first year, after we started getting some business and the company started to grow, they started giving us sick time. Let's say this is a smaller company. They gave us sick time. They even started giving us a couple years ago. They also gave us doctor visit time. So like if you need to go to the doctor for anything and you need to take time off, that time off you go for your doctor visit is completely separate from your paid time off. So you have two different like pools of time off. You have your vacation time, paid time off, and then you have like your sick time, sick time or doctor visits. Anytime you get sick or you go to the doctor, doctor visit time. Excuse me. If you need to go visit a doctor, you need to pull time from that. You're pulling time from your doctor visits, time off. You're not dipping into your paid time off. Those are two completely separate things. And like I said, my company is very small. Why isn't these bigger franchises aren't able to do that?
How many? When you say small, how many people?
I think right now, I think less than 50.
Well, as far as paid time off, our cousin live out in, when she had her second baby, and I found this out from another cousin because she told me, she had health. She's got time off, and she's got health insurance through her job. So kudos for that. The problem was, she went out to have a baby. She only had so much paid time off. So when she had the baby, she used up all of her paid time off, which equaled maybe a month or two, if she even had that much. And they didn't. I don't believe that they paid her at like a percentage instead of her whole check. She was able to get a percentage of her check, but they still covered all 100%. They still took out 100% of the health insurance that she would pay for, but she was only making a percentage of what she was making before. So when she got back to work, her pay, however this looks, her pay was in the negative. So she had to work and then work extra just to get, because her check was negative, because she was making a percentage of money and taking it home, but she still had to pay for her health insurance and stuff. So her paycheck went negative, even though they were still paying her. So when she got back to work, she had to work and work her check out of the negative to cover what
she was getting in
she was getting in benefits, but she wasn't making the money to cover, but they were still charging it to her check. And then when she got back, she had to work her way out of the negative and back into the positive, because she didn't have she had more paid time off built up before she had her baby, or if she had to come back to work earlier, either one, then she wouldn't have gone negative. But they kept her health insurance going, and they kept her a percentage of her paycheck coming. But you better believe she had to work and earn that money back, because her paycheck went negative like that.
She needed to have all that pay time off? She
just had a baby. You need at least 6 weeks, I think. 6 to 8 weeks.
So that's like about 2 months, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all she used was 2 months, and she didn't get any more, like, any extra time off, did she?
If she had taken, what she probably had was some sort of, like, because you get FMLA, Federal Family Medical Leave Act. Anyone can have that, but all that does is guarantee you your job when you come back. They don't have to pay you anything if they don't want to. If they pay you something, it's because they're doing something extra up under FMLA. But a lot of companies,
you still have your job. We're not going to pay you if you're not going to work.
Right.
Okay.
They can't fire you because you had a baby, but they don't have to pay you either. Which I think, FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act, so you can take an extended amount of time off work. But if you don't have paid time days to take, they still let you take it off. But once you run out of anything they can squeeze money out of that you have earned, they don't give you nothing. So
she had no one helping her, like the father, was he even around or no?
I can't say that he was. He was around. He still is, I believe, but that didn't help. But he wasn't working no kind of job where he could, like, put her on his health insurance, because he don't work like that. He don't work like that, so he couldn't, like, well, that's okay. You stay home and I'll pay your. No, that wasn't happening.
Another lesson to be learned here.
Yes.
If you
don't date people with
don't date people that don't have jobs. And also, if you're going to have a kid, at least not you don't even have to be married, but at least make sure that the person who is working is working enough where they can like make enough money to support everyone while you're like staying home and you're recovering.
Yeah.
At least until you're able to work, and then you can probably find like someone to watch your baby or something.
And that's the other thing too, because when she went back to work, she had to find somebody to watch the baby. That's more money out your pocket that you really don't have. Mm-hmm. So you gotta plan that stuff real or at least have a baby with a rich person. I don't know. Yeah. You in trouble because you need at least 6. I could not imagine.
In short, don't
6 weeks
don't have babies all reckless.
Be careful. You're gonna be broke.
Yeah.
Before your baby even out the hospital, you already broke. Mm-hmm. All right. So that marks the end of that segment, which was jobs for teens. We're gonna come back on expansion versus paying. We'll be right back. All right, our last segment is going to be about expansion versus pay. Should a company that claims that they cannot raise the wages of their employees then turn around and open up more stores? Mm-hmm. Is that morally right? Is that ethical? Or is that common sense for any company to do, whether or not they're paying their employees a fair wage or not? So, Lance, you started off. Expansion or pay?
I say stop expanding. It's getting ridiculous how, like, you have these businesses, the same businesses, like minutes within each other, like literally no joke. Whenever I drive home, I go along Airport Freeway. I kid you not. I'm maybe passing 7 different McDonald's on my 15-20 minute drive from the office back home. There's even one part where on the highway, there is literally, I'm not kidding, there are 2 McDonald's literally across the highway from each other. 2 McDonald's across the highway from each other. Because the highway is split into these 2 paths, a left and a right. There's a McDonald's on the right, if you take the right path, and there's another McDonald's on the left path if you go that way. That is ridiculous. Why is there so many? Why you gotta have them that close together? Like, yeah, you can literally, maybe if you close that one down, you can, maybe transfer those employees to the other one. Because, if you also you're going to have McDonald's, if you have only that on one McDonald's in that one area, that's going to increase the amount of customers you're going to get. Then that means more money. That means you can pay them more. Also because you don't have to, pay for the upkeep and pay for the rent and all those other things that come with owning a building. You don't have to pay that. And then now you can take all that extra money and put that towards the employees. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Or, if you're that big enough where you can do that, you should be able to pay them more.
Okay. Here's what. Okay, Lance and I are at my house right now, and I told Lance this the other day. We're sitting in my living room right now. If we walk 3 minutes, because I live out in a rural area, in front of my subdivision, which is 3 minutes from my front door, we can walk to the Dollar General. That is 3 minutes that way from my front door. If we walk, and it's right along Highway 67. If I go to the right and go up to the light and turn left, there's another small town 15 minutes down this country road, there's a Dollar General there. That Dollar General is 15 minutes from my house. So I have one Dollar General that's 3 minutes from my house walking, and then another one that's 15 minutes from my house driving. If I continue on 67 and don't make a left, and I continue driving for about half a mile and make a right, there's another small town. There's a Dollar General in that town. That's about 15 minutes from my house. So we're up to 3 now. If I leave my house and walk to the Dollar General that's 3 minutes from my front door and go to the left in the opposite direction for another town up the road on 67, there are 2 Dollar Generals in that town. That town is about 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes from my front door. That's 5 Dollar Generals within a 20-minute radius around my front door. Why are there so many Dollar Generals? Now, these Dollar Generals have trouble keeping employees. They have trouble just getting people there to work. And they only pay, because I work there temporarily, they only pay about $7 to $8 an hour, okay? That's for a regular old cashier. I was not a key holder there. The key holders make a couple of dollars more than me. Now, what is the reason that there are 5 Dollar Generals within 20 minutes of my house? Does there need to be that many? No, they don't have enough employees. They have trouble keeping employees. They have such trouble keeping employees that during one stretch of time, my store is 3 minutes from my house. But sometimes they would ask me to work any of the other 3 stores, because they were all there when I was working for that store. They opened up the second location in the town up the street. So now they have 2, and they have trouble keeping people at both stores to work. And I would sometimes be sent, instead of working at my store, my manager would say, hey, can you go up to the store that's 15 minutes this way or that way and help them? Someone called in, someone didn't show up, someone quit, someone got hurt or something like that. And I would go and work those stores when my store that I applied to, 3 minutes from my front door, they were like, well, they need help. Can you go and work that store or that store or that store? Which I didn't mind doing. They needed help. And I was trying to make a little bit of money, so I would work it. But you're right, because if you've got that many stores open and you're having that much trouble just keeping employees on the payroll for whatever reason, why would you keep opening stores? We have enough. We had enough at 4. Why would you open a 5th store that you can't keep people at working?
You wouldn't even. I would say I think 4 is probably too many within like a 15-minute radius. I think you could probably at least keep at least 2. I think
I would keep 3. I would keep the one here because this subdivision has exploded, just expanded in all directions. So I would keep the Dollar General that's 3 minutes from my house, because they get a lot of business just because of this expansion of the neighborhood. I would keep the one up the road in the next town, because it's a pretty big town. They don't need 2 though, just 1. And then I would keep 1 down that back country road. And that's about it. But then another 15 minutes further down the road, past the one that you would turn right and go up about half a mile, there's another one in the next town. So really, within 20 minutes, there's 6, not 5. But that further town only has 1. The town that's a half mile away, it has 1. The one that's down the country road, it has 1. But the one up the road in the bigger town, they have 2. And then this town here that I live in has 1. So that's 6. And they have trouble keeping employees. And I'm just sitting there like, If y'all had not opened up that second store up the road in the bigger town, you probably could have sprinkled $1 or $2 extra in all of these employees' paychecks that are stressed the heck out because when they come in to work their shift, they don't know if they're going to be asked to stay past the shift that they're scheduled because someone called in or someone didn't show up. They don't know if they're going to be called in early when they weren't planning on getting up and coming into work early that day. But they try to be a good employee. And so if you call them, they will come because they're trying to be a good employee. And they're like, well, I guess it is an extra little extra. But sometimes it's like, it's not even enough. It's like, no, I'm tired. I had to work at that. I had to close that store. I had to go over and work that store that day. And then I went back way up this way, 15 minutes out of my way to work at that store. I don't have to be at work until 2 o'clock. Don't call me at 10 o'clock and ask me if I can be at work at 10:30. I'm resting. They will wear you out. They will wear you out then. And then when the pandemic first hit, it wasn't really their fault. They had to let people go and furlough people or just straight up pink slip them or whatever. So now they're being allowed to open, even though the pandemic's not over. They're being allowed to open, and they expect all these people to be Johnny on the spot to come back and work. Like, no. People have had a chance to sit back and actually take a breath and think. Actually had a chance to sit back and just, okay, I'm not having to stress and worry. I got this money coming in. I know it's not going to last long, but I can think about what it is that I want. And a lot of people are realizing that what it is that they want is not to be held up under the thumb of someone who's paying them pennies on the dollar to get yelled at by customers, screamed at by management, unappreciated, worked to the bone, can't even get time off to be sick or go to a doctor. And they're just tired of it. They have had a chance to sit back and go, my entire working adult life has been a bunch of struggle bus junk. And I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't know. You can't snap your fingers and I'm going to come running back to a dead end job. It's lucrative for you because you own it. But for me, it's soul sucking. I don't want to. There's people who have never had a vacation day, got one during the pandemic. People who've never had time off to just sit and think about their life. But they got one because of the pandemic.
This pandemic is turning to almost like it's a blessing in disguise. Yeah,
for a lot of people,
the world is burning. But at least you got some time to think
and fiddle. What was Nero doing? Nero, while he fiddled while Rome burned. Well, some of these people are fiddling while this pandemic runs its course, and they have discovered and decided DoorDash is paying me more money than y'all mofos.
Yeah.
Amazon is giving me the thing that I need to really be able to do some of the things I want, and I can take a vacation and take a deep breath. And that's yeah, people discovering new passions. People I went back to school.
People started taking on projects, like just personal projects. People started up YouTube channels.
Airbnbs.
Making their own content, like finding out new ways to make some money. Yeah, I mean, this pandemic was a real blessing in disguise for some people. So, I don't have to keep doing this. I can hustle, make money in other ways. Like, yeah, and that's what people been doing.
And like I said, I never lost my job, but sitting around thinking about life and how, because even though I never lost my main job at the school district, I do speech therapy. I left all my part-time seasonal jobs like at SMU and the Dollar General because I couldn't really just juggle it and go to school. When the fall came, when the pandemic first started, it was the spring. I was working at the Dollar General. I was pulling 35 hours a week at Dollar General when this pandemic first started. Dollar General didn't even give us, they didn't give us nothing, not a raise in pay, not just for me, of course, for the people who actually were working that job as their bread and butter job. I was still getting paid from the school district. But the people who were working there as their bread and butter job, they weren't giving them, they didn't give them, not even a discount on food. Not a discount on nothing. They didn't give them folks nothing. Walmart at least bumped people's pay, and Target bumped people's pay.
I know, like Kroger, even like businesses like Kroger's and Walmart, they were like, giving their employees like a little bit, raising up their wages a little bit.
Dollar General didn't pay us nothing extra, and I wasn't even really looking at it for me, but for the other people that I work with, that's their only job. Like that's it, and y'all didn't give them nothing. And it wouldn't have, and I know, and they were doing record sales. We were doing record sales at that store. Because when the pandemic first happened, toilet paper, Lysol was in short demand. If we're right off 67, it's a Highway 67, right? If people were driving by and saw that big white Dollar General truck pulled outside the store, we had folks, because usually you just see the same folks all the time. We had so many strangers coming in there. You got toilet paper, you got Lysol, you got paper towels, you got that would have never probably have passed by that store a million times over the past 5 or 6 years and never once stopped in. They saw that truck, that supply truck sitting out there and bringing in stuff. They flooded that parking lot, running in there looking for toilet paper, Lysol, wipes, cleaning materials, all that. Folks I never saw before and never saw again in the beginning weeks of this pandemic. We're trying to hide stuff and keep it for the people who are regulars and for senior citizens, because people will come in and they will buy 6 packets of toilet paper, and we were like, no, you can get 2. You can get 2 and put them other 4 back, please and thank you. And Lysol, they would just scoop everything off the shelves.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, y'all would have, like, that was me, and say, yeah, we're not putting things like toilet paper and Lysol, we're not putting those on the shelves. If you want one, you come to the counter and we'll give you 1. Or we'll give you maybe 1 or 2 max. The same thing with toilet paper. You may get 1 or 2 max, but we are controlling how many of these things are going out, because you're not leaving here with like 10 things of toilet paper. Because there were people doing that.
We had the police, the police.
I said, no, y'all should not be allowed to do that. No.
We're a small town, so it didn't take nothing but one phone call from the store manager and say, yeah, can we get a cop up here? We're going to be getting we're getting 2 big boxes of toilet paper. Can we have a police presence in the store? And they sent a cop, and the cop was standing right there as we piled toilet paper up in front of the door with a big sign that said limit 2. And the policeman was standing right there the whole time to make sure we didn't have fights and arguments and stealing and all that stuff. He stood right there the whole time. And
which is sad, you have to do that, but yeah, you have to.
Yeah, and they didn't pay people at Dollar General. I don't know what Family Dollar or Dollar Tree gave, but Dollar General didn't give them folks nothing. And I worked through it all through when it first started, all the way through the summer. And then I decided that I wanted to try and learn something new, because there was a lot of virtual and distance learning going on in colleges. So that's what made me go and sign up and start taking classes on communications and technology. And I'm glad I did it, because I really enjoyed it. But people are risking their life to come to work. Yes, they want their paycheck, but they also want to serve their community and their customers. And we didn't even get a discount on food and supplies. 10%, 15%, 20%, nothing. We didn't get nothing at Dollar General. And I thought that was that's crazy. I thought that was unethical. In the first few weeks, people weren't wearing masks at all, because we don't need to wear masks. The government was saying, oh no, you don't need masks or anything, you're fine. And then a few weeks after, we've been exposed for weeks and weeks. oh yeah, you better wear a mask over your face.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, shit, we've been up here working for weeks, and y'all said we didn't need masks, and now we do. Everybody's gonna just drop dead.
Mm-hmm.
So no, but you're right. But yes, if McDonald's wasn't expanding every 15 minutes, they could afford to give benefits to people,
And
raise wages.
And actually that will and you were talking about how Family Dollar couldn't like keep employees. Yeah, if you stop expanding, pay your employees a little bit more, offer them benefits, they will stay. Not because they love the job, but the security of it, the benefits and security of that. Well, they pay me pretty good. Not only that, but I'm also getting benefits. My earliest job working at
and
Kroger's.
They wonder why they go ahead.
I can't remember. Like I don't remember if I had. No, I don't think so. I didn't have like half health or dental insurance when I was working at Kroger's. But I had some sort of benefits there. I don't know what it was. But I remember mom, she really beat into my head like, this job has benefits. You need to stay as long as you can, at least until you can find something better. And now that I'm older, and I'm working at the job I am now, and the different benefits that I've gotten, just not too like about almost about a year and a half ago, when I had to go to the dentist to get one of my teeth checked, one of my molars cracked, and I had to like get that extracted out and put a new one in. The dental insurance took a lion's share of the total pay that I have to make towards that. I mean, I still have to pay like a good there's like still $1,500 I have to pay, but it's a hell of a lot better of what I would have to pay if I didn't have that dental insurance. And after that, I'm like, yeah, I can totally see why mom really beat into my head about, if you have a job that has benefits, you need to stay.
Yeah, sometimes just are y'all stupid? Y'all are people who are in the upper management of all these corporations. You might hate your job,
but you will stay.
But you stay for them. Even if the pay sucks, you got the benefits is good. You're gonna stay there until you just want to come in and shoot everybody dead. You're gonna keep coming to work because you got benefits. If the benefits suck and the pay is good, you'll stay. If the pay sucks and the benefits are good, you're gonna stay.
Because I'd rather pay $15 on some on medicine than $400 or $500 something for it.
Yeah, and they act like the people in the upper echelons of any company. They act like they don't. They act like they don't know it. And I'm just like,
if my company can go, like I said, my company is a small company, less than 50 people. If they know how to go out and we like to sign up for some health insurance and dental, they were able to do it. As small as my company was, there's no reason for you to not be able to do the same. And these employees. Y'all really should be giving your employers the side eye. Like, why haven't y'all given us benefits? Because I know y'all can afford it. Because there's different packages. Because most of these companies like Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, they can probably give you some sort of deal if you're a company. Like, it's like a package deal instead of like an individual deal. Like if you're just going into them like an individual, you may have to pay like a pretty good amount of money for that health insurance or dental, whatever. But if you're a company, then like United Healthcare is like, okay, you coming to us as a company, you got 50 employees. Okay, we can probably cut you a deal because because you giving us all these customers. We'll cut you a deal. We'll give you like a package deal because you got 50 something employees. These companies will do that. Blue Cross, United Healthcare, they will do that. You just have to go to them.
If I'm telling you, I would tell them in the upper and whoever thought of that stupid iPhone plan, I would say number one, you're a freaking moron. Number 2, take those iPhones and shove them. You need to go talk to Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, United Healthcare, Baylor Scott and White, whatever. Molina. You see all these companies I'm naming? Take these iPhones and call those companies and tell them we want to offer comprehensive medical and dental benefits to our employees who work in our restaurants. That is what we want. We have about over 500,000 employees in corporate stores and franchises. We're going to offer it to anyone under the McDonald's banner. Make it happen. You will have health insurance companies stabbing each other in the back to be the one who supplies the health insurance to your company, a company that big. I promise you they will. Because McDonald's is probably the number 1 employer next to Walmart and Burger King in this country. Let the person land the deal with giving McDonald's employees benefits. They'll make them king of the health insurance company. Like, no, you'll never get fired. You got us McDonald's, you own this place. Do what you will, sir. We serve you. If anybody who can get McDonald's on their roster.
But it's McDonald's, they have to be the ones to do it. McDonald's have to be the one to make the call, to call them up. Like, yo, we want to offer our employees insurance, health insurance, dental, whatever. What is some package deals you can hook us up with?
Yeah, and McDonald's doesn't even have to cover the whole amount. The people who are working there, they still have to pay
out of pocket. It's just that y'all just want to just take the lion's share.
Yeah, they still have to put money out of their paycheck to get it, and then they still have to pay co-pays when they go to a doctor visit. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they're not paying anything. But if you do that, I promise you, not too many people quit a job where they're getting health insurance. Mm-hmm. Not too many people do that. Even if the pay stinks, they're getting some sort of a benefit from it where they can go to the doctor and stuff. Even if it doesn't keep them for 6 years, you might be able to keep them for 2.
You get a good amount of years.
You get and they're going to work and give them hours so that they can afford the health insurance. Don't give them health insurance where the cheapest plan takes $50 out of their check, and then you're not even giving them 20 hours a week. You're going to have to give them more hours. If they had more, you would have people fighting for those jobs. Y'all just don't know how to make yourselves competitive because you're used to being cheap. Make yourself more competitive so that people get there and don't leave, and then fight to get in and stay for a while. Do it like that. Don't offer people iPhones, and then you wonder why you get the cream of the horrible product of people that you get, and they're not there 3 months, 2 months, 6 months. Now you got to bring somebody else in and train them. It's cheaper to get someone in there that'll work for some years, not some weeks. So I'm telling you, ain't nobody leaving no job when they're getting benefits, even if the pay stinks. They're getting benefits, they're gonna probably stay longer than what they would have stayed if they weren't getting benefits. Because you gotta give them something good with the bad. So you take your pick, but you can't be cheap. And McDonald's, Burger King, Dollar General, Walmart,
there's literally no excuse for y'all. And I think a lot of these employees should probably unionize in the stage like a walkout and say, no, we're not working here again until you gotta give us something. You gotta give us benefits, give us something, because you may not realize this, but y'all need us, then we need y'all.
They do, and they're seeing it now because people aren't going back to work. Like, why would I go back to work? Some people didn't even get their unemployment benefits until weeks, months after the pandemic happened, so they were already behind, and then they finally kicked in 3, 4, 5 months later. You think I'm finna stop my benefit because you snap your finger and said, okay, they said they can come back today, and then there's another resurgence. I gotta go back and file unemployment again. It might take me another 4 or 5 months to get my money. No, I'm gonna stay on this for a while. It just kicked in too. I'm not leaving my unemployment benefits to come work for you for $7 an hour. Mm-hmm. They would have to lock me up in the crazy house for me to do that. No, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. Some people have been waiting on their unemployment benefits, and it take them 6 months, almost a year sometimes. And now because you say that they're okay, it's all over now, come back to work, and the pandemic is still going on, people still getting sick, and you want me to stop my benefits to come work for $7 an hour? Please stay on them benefits, collect them coins until you get a letter in the mail saying they're going to cut you off on such and such day. Then you start looking around to see where you might want to go back and work. And then you go in for your interview, and instead of them asking you a bunch of questions, you ask them some questions. What's the pay? Are there any benefits to working here? Do I get health insurance, dental insurance, sick time? Do I get anything? Vacation, paid vacation? Ask. And if they say, well, no, we don't give you, no. Okay, well, thank you very much. And then you get up and walk off like a G. You don't just sit there like, okay, well, thank you. Get up and leave. Make them pay y'all something worth having. Shoot. They don't love you. So I say they squeeze y'all for years. You'll squeeze them back for once. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that is the end of our segment. This is our longest segment ever.
Each segment was like almost 25 minutes long.
Yeah, we were fired up. Mm-hmm. So, I'm gonna process this and get it up on the page. Thank you, Lance, for joining me in another segment of Opinions Are Like and we will see you guys later. And make sure you come to the YouTube page. I've got all the episodes loaded up there.
All right, take it easy.
Bye-bye.